So we don't have a quorum, so we don't have an official meeting. We can, it's up
Have a
to,
conversation anyway? or-
yeah, I think it'll be just an informal discussion. And I managed to forget my glasses, so I'm going to lip along. We won't do a formal adjustments to the agenda or public comment, can't approve the minutes. We can, though, discuss the agenda items, which, so continuing with items from last meeting or two, the first is the hill speed control measures update. And I think, Brian, we were just looking to you to, do you have any feedback on the speed control sign that's up on Hill Street? Any?
I think the police chief said he thought it was in the right spot.
Oh, really?
That's what he thought.
Okay. Because I was surprised at it, where it was.
Yeah, I don't think it is, quite frankly. I think it needs to be down lower. I think it needs to be, and it's really not that hard to move, is it?
No,
I mean,
but you just have to find a spot that's, that it's visible and you have sunlight for the solar panel and that type of thing.
yeah, but I mean, if you move it down to the end of all these property, just before, as you're coming down the hill, I don't say just before, but before, once you get to Oliver's property coming down the hill, it tends to open up. It certainly is as open, if not more than, I mean, I'd love to see it moved. This is me. Now, I don't know what the committee or you folks think, but I'd love to see it move down towards Nelson. I mean, I'd be happy to.
We'll take a look to see if there's a spot there or whatever.
You mean on the sort of the uphill corner of Nelson and Hill?
Yeah, same side.
Yeah, same
Just,
side, just down.
just down, basically, it's gotta be Oliver's, well, it would be in the right of way,
Yeah.
but it would abut Oliver's, that big.
Right,
To me, it's just, I think by the time folks see it up there, if it has any impact at all, they've forgotten about it by the time they hit Nelson Street.
Yeah, down by Lester's maybe, Felch,
Where's he live?
the house, right?
Gray House?
Yeah,
See, I think that's.
coming down the hill.
Yeah. The
is
other
that the
side
gray,
of it.
the gray house on the corner of Nelson, the one that?
No, he's
No,
not there.
he's up above
He's
Nelson.
up further,
It's
yeah.
a
he's
White
further
House,
up.
isn't
He's
it?
between Nelson and,
Woodland?
Woodland?
Yeah.
yes. By Wood.
Yeah, my observation
The White House.
driving it is I go up to Hill Street Market to pick up something every Wednesday.
It's pretty convenient, yeah.
And I'm not going, I haven't gotten up ahead of steam yet when I hit.
Going up?
No, coming
Oh,
down.
coming down, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
As I'm
it's-
coming down, it's like, for me, it feels like it's just a little bit too soon. I mean, it's good if I didn't know the speed limit was 25, if I hadn't seen the sign that's like 10 feet beyond it, ahead of it. If I hadn't looked at that already, then it's good. But where it really hits me is sort of right where Steve was saying, it's just as I'm getting to Oliver's property. Because by then, I don't have my foot on the gas and I'm hovering over the brake and I'm starting to go 30. And that's when I'm starting to hit my brake because I don't want to go 30 as I come down the hill because I'm,
Well, I'll see
I'm
if
that
we
lady
can-
who drives 22.
I'll see if we can see how high up on that hill we can put it there in front of Oliver's.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be worth trying, and it's not,
Because I wondered about it, it was great, so while it was snowy, it wasn't working, but I noticed as soon as the snow melted off the trees, it started to work. But then I was thinking about the vegetation that's across the street, and that's gonna block the sun except at the very height of the afternoon. And when the traffic is the worst is between 6 and 9 in the morning, and between 3 and 5 in the afternoon, or 5:30.
How long does that storage on the,
I don't know, I mean, they should be fairly decent now, they're brand new ones, but, that's what, I think as long as they get a good portion of sunshine during the day, especially now, they should have enough storage to last.
Well, that's good.
When did you say-
I thought it was supposed to have like a 3-day charge on
Oh,
it.
great.
That's great.
On a new one, but of
Yeah.
course, as it gets older, that's definitely not
I
gonna.
had no idea it was there, and I was like thrilled when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, look.
We replaced the one up on Prospect and put that one there.
Yeah,
We-
because you got two, you
We
were
had two new
yeah.
ones, so we put them there.
Okay.
You said 6 to 9, and what were the afternoon hours?
Between 6 and 9 in the morning. It's really like 6:30 and 8 is when most of the cars are coming through. 7 o'clock is like busy, busy, busy time. And then, the buses come through around, I don't know, 3-ish.
Three, I think.
Yeah, and then after that, it starts to pick up, coming back up the hill. But we're not catching those people yet.
Yeah, no, but the afternoon rush hour,
It's like between 3 and 5:30.
okay.
6 o'clock sometimes. And in the summer, it, extends a little bit later in
Yeah.
the evening, but
Have you ladies noticed any impact of the sign where it is?
not so much.
I mean, it's-
Not so much. But I hear mostly the people going up the hill, because I'm on that side of the street. And my living room faces the street, and that's where we're sitting in the afternoon. So I hear every single car that drives up the street
Yeah.
that doesn't have a muffler
Yeah.
or that guns it to go fast up the street.
Start to go up the hill.
Yeah.
The one thing I have noticed since the sign went in is that, I'm one of those little ladies who drives 22. I'm pretty careful about the speed limit in the city. And I come down from Windywood Road a lot. And often if I have somebody from the town who's been following me, that I've been going 25 since, on and they're right on my bumper and they're really mad and they're, and then they see the flashing light and they're like, oh, and there's this sort of, they back off just a
Oh,
little.
good.
Which is nice, because then at the foot of the hill, I need to stop to
Yeah, you're
turn
gonna be
to my
turning.
driveway, which is between, streets. So if they're really right on my bumper, I'm always afraid I'm gonna get back in the.
That's about the spot where they're ready to pass you if they get pissed off.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm
They're ready to pass you just as you're turning into your driveway.
good about
Yeah, if
using
we
my
could-
signals
if we
too,
could
though.
try that, Brian. Just be able to see.
There's not too much of a pain.
I shouldn't be. I'll have them take a look, see if we can find a good spot there, and it's just a matter of, pulling the post and
Stick it
pushing
in.
it in back down there.
Yeah,
That's good. I'm
Just
glad to
coming
hear.
into the city, Berrytown has it posted for 25. Berrytown,
Yeah,
on West Cobble Hill, I believe on extension of Hill Street up further above the grocery store, and even on Windywood.
on Winterwood, yeah.
They're all
I sit
25
there.
miles an hour coming into the intersection.
But people don't,
Yeah, the
they
question.
don't pay attention to that.
So
They
Well, I
do
mean, I
flash
would
it.
really,
I think
Fla-
our
the
flasher
flasher
is like a
helps.
reinforcer.
Yeah.
And, changing people's behavior is hard, and it takes time.
Yeah.
especially when people are running late in a hurry.
Is that, the 2 minutes sooner is really important.
The next item is discussion, action, where a four-way stop sign at Hill and Camp. Brian, I don't know if you,
We've had that assessed by VHB, and it does not qualify for a stop sign.
really?
PHP.
Well, I should say really.
Traffic engineer. Same
Vanessa-
as,
Look at the accident data. Did you see the accident data that we
Yep.
got from the police department?
Yeah.
And it still doesn't qualify?
yeah, I mean, most of, when they talk about accident data, it's accidents, it's not, they don't count the ones that are by personal, like someone that runs the stop sign. How do you regulate someone not
No
stopping?
sign for them to run. Well,
Right, but I mean, that's what the accidents, and I looked at the list, and most of those accidents aren't necessarily from speed, it's more the distracted driver type of accidents. And then how do you regulate, as far as signage and everything with that type of thing?
more distractions.
Right.
Oh, you gotta read the sign?
Did they give you?
Gotta throw
a
that
report on
phone.
Yeah, I got a report on
Could you
that.
forward that to the, give me, I'll distribute it. I mean, it'd just be interesting to see it.
Because I think you're the one that requested.
Yes.
that.
I requested 2 stops.
Right, so the one on Nelson is,
Nelson and one at
Yeah,
Camp,
the Nelson
again, to
is-
slow the traffic down.
yeah, the Nelson is a no because of the slope of the road.
Yeah.
On Nelson, if we put a stop sign in the middle of that hill.
That's at the bottom of the hill.
Well, I mean, that's the same reason that a stoplight wasn't put up at the bottom of Wellington Street after the big dig.
Yeah.
Well, not only is there a steep hill, but it's also a blind.
So at that time, we were dealing with Prospect Street, so we had VHB run an analysis of the.
Well, I knew they'd done
also.
Prospect. I didn't realize they had done,
It was the same result as they didn't, the 5
warrants.
warrants that they have for that it didn't pass on any of the warrants.
So if you have
had
that,
this data when they did Prospect Street. This is new data, we just got this at the.
Yeah, but that data is all old. I mean, it's
Well, no, it's not, it's from,
most of it's.
no, it's from summer and fall of 2025 is on here. Not
Right,
like
but I
27,
think isn't most
25,
of those-
5, 22, 25.
A lot of those accidents
is
are from 2020 and,
There was 3 accidents in this.
I saw there was one was missing.
Yeah, so one of the accidents that occurred is missing from this data. Because there were 2 in the month of September, and they're not both represented here.
And-
They're both the same kind of thing.
again, when we have the analysis, then they take the records from the police department and it's those accidents that,
are speed related.
well, or some type of regulation would have helped the situation, the distracted driver type of things, they don't necessarily count those. They have to be correctable accidents
Well,
for
if there
them
was a
to,
stop sign, it would be correctable, because the father would have said to the son, there's a stop sign ahead, honey.
Oh, I
Make sure
thought
you
it was-
stop, but there wasn't a stop sign, so that kid kept going.
I thought you
He
said
was
turn
coming,
left.
he was
and
coming
turned-
downhill and he turned left.
Yeah,
right.
But if
So-
he had
The right-
stopped at Camp Street, he would not have hit that other car. If he had come downhill and stopped at Camp Street at a stop sign, he would not have hit the other car. That's my point. And both of the ones that happened in September were the exact same circumstances. One was a head-on and the other one was a rear-ended,
Those-
because I
like that-
watched them happen.
Right, but
I
that,
saw them.
that situation where the kid turned into, that's, again, it's a problem that they didn't pay attention. It's not necessarily because there's not a stop sign there, it's because they weren't paying attention. So, yeah, maybe the stop sign would have
There's
made them
another-
stop, but it's not,
Brian, there's another issue in this too, and that's the sight lines from, if somebody stopped at camp and is looking up the hill, it's really hard to see what's coming down. And it's also very hard to judge how fast what you do see is coming down. So either the person, the car coming down can be in a blind spot, so the person pulls out. Now, technically, once they're in the intersection, they have the right of way. But if the guy's coming down really fast, he can't stop, or he can't stop sufficiently.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'll share it with everyone and, they have to use the data that they have and it's,
And are they the final word?
no, I mean, city council's the final word. I mean,
Well,
if
let's
city.
bring it to
City council wants to put a stop sign there, they just tell Nicholas and he'll tell me and we'll put a stop
What
sign
I'd
there.
really like is I'd like for you to come and spend an afternoon at my house sometime and just sit outside and observe it. Because I really don't think any of you have, aside from Beth and I, who live there and see it every single day for the last almost 12 years now. I've been watching this, and how long has it been for you? 5? 4?
Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
And I see it every day, and
But-
the issue is that people are going too fast.
Yeah,
And we've got to slow them
and
down.
I mean,
And
Art
we
will,
need to do
will,
everything we can think of to slow them
but
down.
it's,
and then
it is
accidents
bad
will
practice to use a stop sign for speed control.
stop. But there have been 12 accidents.
Well,
in the last 5
I mean,
No.
Art will tell you that, I mean, that's just,
I'm not necessarily saying that it would serve two purposes. I mean, people would have, if they know there's a stop sign and they have to stop there, it would control their speed. They would have to slow down to stop. But the other thing it would address would be the sight lines for the people who are crossing traffic. Because if you can't see what's coming, then
yeah, I mean, and that,
You can
well,
only see it
again,
when
I'll
you-
share this report for you, and that's part of the report is the sight lines. So they had to have, I don't remember the report off the top of my head, but, that's part of their analysis, is to determine what they have for sightlines. And, they have a standard that they follow, with speed and number of cars and whatever for that intersection to determine what the acceptable sightlines are. And that's what they follow. And I'll share that with you and we can talk
Yeah, I tell you what,
good.
I tell you what,
about
let's,
it. So
let's do this. We don't,
I-
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, because this is mine is a new topic,
Oh,
so
okay.
finish.
So, yeah, if you can share that, and I'll
Yep.
make sure everyone on the committee gets it, and we'll put it back on the agenda for the next meeting, and I'll call ahead and make sure we've got a quorum, but I think, as you say, the ultimate authority is the council.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I mean,
but the brutal reality is the council is gonna say, okay, staff, what are your recommendations? And you're gonna base your.
My recommendation is going to be what that report
Absolutely.
says.
So it's kind of a catch-22. And I think what has to happen is the committee, I mean, I don't disagree with you in the common accepted standard is using stop signs for speed control isn't good practice. But I can cite you 2 places in the city where it was done and it works. Circle Street and Hill Street. And Hill Street's a 4-way stop, and I got tons of grief when I did it. One was in response to at the time, Councilor Poirier, who was getting tons of complaints about Hill Street. And same thing on Circle Street. To my knowledge, there have been I think the complaints, although on a much lesser scale, are that, well, people stop and then squeal their tires to get going and stuff like that, I think. But, I mean, accept the guideline, if you will, that the stop signs aren't supposed to be used for speed control. That said, they work. And I think, quite honestly, I think that's the case that has to be made to the council, because I know what's going to happen. The council's going to say, Brian, what do you think? And you're going to say, VHB says no, and the council's going to say, oh, okay, it's the same thing they did in Prospect Street. And I guess I'm getting to the point where it's got to appeal to the council to say, hey, you got a neighborhood that's complaining about this for how many years, and give them a chance. I mean, if it doesn't work, or it's really a big problem or whatever, then pull them out.
Take
But
them out, right.
Nothing
exactly.
ventured, nothing gained.
5,400 cars a day, and that's from 2023
Yeah.
data. So I couldn't get anything more recent, even though I asked. It's a lot.
So let's do that. You send the report.
Yep.
We'll all have it, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, it could be possible for this committee to make a recommendation that we.
Oh, no,
override.
that has to happen. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
that we make a recommendation to council that we override the standards. for
that's
these
exactly what's going to
reasons.
have to be.
Now, the other thing I wanted to just toss out there, because I know how frustrated everybody is with the light timing and all the rest of the stuff at that K-shaped intersection at the foot of Hill. And
Yep.
it looks, I mean, I'm not a street designer or anything, but it looks like that would be a really, really good place for a roundabout. And everybody would love it. I mean, there's even that empty lot that could,
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done any research on it, but when I look at that, I think it's literally a space. I don't know if there's enough space there to have one, because I think you would end up having to buy a couple houses at those intersections to get one in there.
Where's that?
Air Street, Hill Street.
Ayers Street, Hill
Ayers
Street.
Hill 14, that
Hill.
the K-shaped intersection at the
down
foot.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd have to take some properties out.
yeah, and that's would be I think
Spot.
the limiting factor there would be that it's,
Roundabouts have to be round.
yeah, you can't kind of have
Yeah, because an oval would fit.
yeah.
Well, you can make a smaller roundabout, everybody just has to be slower
Yeah.
in it.
But then you
But then how do your trailer
gotta
trucks
get the
get through
tractor
it?
trailer through it.
Yeah, well,
without
in
having to drive over the middle,
Hanover,
yeah.
they
could
dealt
do
with
that.
that by having,
Aprons.
aprons, so that the tractor trailer trucks could drive over.
That's what they did in Montpelier down on the end of Main Street.
Yeah.
They had to put the 45-degree curbing on the inside and then paved the
Yeah.
center of it.
Well,
so
frankly, I
In front
think,
of the health center, yeah.
it's common practice in roundabout design to have a interior apron to accommodate trucks. I mean,
Because then they don't have to,
down at McGee Ford, up at Traw Hill, East Berry.
But I still think that,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
intersection
There may not be
is,
enough
is
space,
gonna
but-
be very
Oh,
tight.
yeah. No, I was just talking
Yeah.
about aprons.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, interior aprons are standard just to handle trucks.
No.
That's a very scary intersection.
It is, and we've had that,
People don't know where to be.
Which intersection?
we've had that light retimed, I think, 2 years ago, and, I mean, they've basically said, this is the best we can do.
Yep.
It's all,
It's the volume.
we try to, especially, it actually adjusts that, 2:30 in the afternoon for the school, but otherwise, we're really,
Well,
Main Street is the main, that's got the preemption on it then, but, yeah, I understand that, that's an awful intersection, but I don't know what we can do to help that one as far as timing, we've tried, and we could do it again, but I don't think
Well,
it's
the
gonna
only
change
thing,
it.
the only
You
thing
just
you
have to
could
hold
do.
your breath when you go.
But even a
through.
roundabout can be complicated when you got high traffic on one leg only, and the other people can't get into it because the high traffic is governing coming in and out of Montpelier at 4 o'clock or 4:30, 5 o'clock. Traffic is so much trying to come out and maybe going up Route 2, going east. East.
East.
And I've been there.
I
You can't
personally
slip in
like
because they
roundabouts,
won't, there's no
but I think
space.
there's too many people that don't know how to use them.
Well, because some places, whoever's in the roundabout has the right of way, and in other states, they don't.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is.
Well,
Or
that's
people
screwy.
assume they have to stop before they
People
get
coming
onto
into
it.
the-
Some do,
Yeah,
right.
I think it's New
In the
Hampshire.
Well, you certainly have to stop if there's somebody in the
Right, but
But
a lot of people think
Stop.
they're stop there and then look,
Someplace that we
and
go.
they're designed so that traffic keeps
it's
in the meantime,
flowing.
somebody's coming up their ass.
Yes, but,
Well, one
The only thing that would help, at least during the school year at Air Street, Hill Street, is to get West Patterson back open. That's,
oh,
yes, that'll,
Have you-
get an extra
have you looked at
$500,000,
that,
Steve?
pardon?
Got an extra
we
$500,000?
should put a
Yeah,
set
have you
of
looked-
stairs and.
It's a mess.
maybe when I pass.
There's times when it's cost me damn, but why?
Patterson.
West
West
Patterson.
When you say, have I looked at it, you mean the slide?
Yeah.
No, I haven't been up there.
Oh, it's such a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Because we stand at the top and look at it every once in a while, just because.
Yep.
Is it continuing to slide?
Somewhat, but I mean, I think it's all the water that comes down, it came down when the culvert backed
Well, I
up
mean, we
up by
we had a-
Waterman Street.
We had a closed
And
West
that's where it all
Patterson
came from.
2011.
And, to stabilize it, you gotta put in sheet piles along that whole lower edge to build that up. And it's, we gotta, it's just a real rough estimate was, somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000 on that little tiny street. And, I thought we could spend that a lot better other places, but, I know there's
South Main Street.
a lot of, yeah, South Main Street.
A lot of potholes.
Okay, so we'll take that approach.
Well,
Beth, you were, oh, I'm sorry.
That was something.
I was gonna ask Brian here, when you paint lines next year on Camp Street on the part that goes up the hill, up Camp, you put in your crosswalk, only put your stop bar only 2 feet away from the stop bar, from the crosswalk. That will allow you to pull up and see across, further up past that burning bush that's up there that blocks your view. Now, on the other hand,
Now, that's a hill,
Camp and Hill.
that's for people who stop and look.
but that's a Camp and Hill is where you're talking.
Yeah, yeah,
Camp
it's
and
the
Right.
intersection between
Because I asked about
Lincoln
that,
House. The
say
burning
guys
bush is on
who do
at
this,
the, on
I don't know
the
if you-
Sands property.
Joe Kelly.
Across the street from you?
In high school or college with Joe.
On the gray
Across
house.
hill or across Camp?
Across the
Oh,
gray,
yeah, I mean, we're good
the gray
for-
house across.
Right on the
from
corner, the
us.
one that's across from Lincoln House.
Says,
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he said
And they
that
have a big.
in the
burning
city, he
bush
says,
that
you can
can't
make
see
that.
around.
Usually it's 5
And
feet, but
I sit in my
sometimes
car
he
at
says,
my-
you know, you can pull it up 2
you know,
more
in
feet
front of my
or 3 more
corner,
feet.
and I
Make it 2
prune
feet
my
away from the
red, my
crosswalk.
red tree so you can actually see up
I
the.
tried looking
hill.
Yeah, it's really
Stop
good
and
now.
check.
Yeah, I'm surprised, you know,
Or I
there's
thought it
another,
was a stop
there's
bar.
another one that's
Should be.
annoying. And then when I was
You
manager,
can see
I
quite a way, it's 100.
went up and asked them to
maybe
trim it,
200
but that was
feet up
now
the road.
15
it's that
years
burning
ago,
bush.
right at the
That's it
corner,
right
and that was
there.
the, is it spruce tree, or blue spruce, that's right at the corner of Nelson and Hill. So if you're coming out Nelson,
Yeah, that's hard too.
the tree is low enough, so you really have to kind of sneak out to see cars coming up. If another 2 feet of limbs were there.
The other issue with the sightlines at the Hill and Camp intersection is that in the morning, when the traffic is really bad, and you look up the hill, if it's a sunny day, you've got the sun in your eyes. So even if you can see around the darn burning bush.
Oh, because the sun is
Because
coming
the
down.
sun's coming
after-
down the Hill Street, you can't see. And in the afternoon, if you're trying to go the other way and you look down, the sun's going down and you can't see what's coming up from the intersection of 302. So there's a lot of stuff there that, you know,
Okay, we got-
if everybody was stopping, it would be a lot less fraught.
Well, I think,
I agree with that.
understanding where Brian's coming from, I think
Yeah.
the committee just has to put together as strong a case as possible and make a plea to the council and say, hey,
And
we understand.
if we know when it's coming up for council, we can organize the neighbors, the residents to come.
I think we ought to have one more committee meeting. I'll do my very best to make sure there's a quorum. And then we can set a plan of action at that point. I mean, set a date to try to get it on the agenda, and get folks prepared.
Brian, I had a quick question for you. I haven't been over to check, but did you get the asphalt cleaned out for Mary Fifield?
I was gonna ask about that.
I don't know if the guys have made it over there. I told them about it when they get to cleaning up that area to make sure they.
Hopefully you could,
get it.
Brian, really, one guy and a shovel and a pickup. I mean, it's all, I wasn't talking about reconstructing the whole curb,
Oh,
what
I
needs to
know.
be done.
But I'm just, when the guys get over there, they'll pick it up.
Yeah, but, I mean, I have the same frustration now as I did when I was mayor. I mean, they're probably driving by that. God, no, I'm not gonna say 3 times a day, but I'm sure they've been driving by. It's so goddamn simple. Just stop. I mean, I've almost been tempted to stop with my truck, put it in the truck. It's
Shovel
not
it
that
in.
much. It's just,
Now, that's a good citizen. No, it's
I
even
did
better
that
than a
with-
good
I went
citizen.
you don't know how many
Stairway
times I've
for
done
that
stupid stuff
reason,
like
'cause
that,
I couldn't get
particularly
it.
when I was manager, but it's just annoying.
Well, that's why they have a.
I mean,
ad in the
you know,
paper,
hey,
wanted
Yes.
Employees.
Send Donnell over. I mean, Donnell would do it, and.
That's what I said, I told them when you're cleaning that area, that is.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is, don't wait to try to time it with something else. It'll take less than 15 minutes for them to drive from the barn, this barn, not the new barn, this barn, get over there with a pickup. You don't need 2 guys in a dump truck, just, and just,
And
it'd be
and then
15
you have
minutes.
a happier, taxpayer.
Yeah.
And, she's
I mean, if you can do that, if you can,
pretty
you
annoyed.
want me to call Donnell?
No, I'll do
Thank
it.
you.
Tell him Mackenzie said, he's gotta get over there, pick it up.
Yeah, that's right.
Please, yeah,
Please.
please.
Say please, and when he goes, we'll say
Tell
thank you.
him the pain in the ass is Mackenzie.
Who?
And just do it to get him off your back.
Oh, I'll get it done.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right,
She was really passionate about it.
I know, I've spoken to her
Sure,
multiple times.
so have I.
okay, so we got a couple
What's
of
on
new items on the agenda, and
Yeah, those
Joanne,
were
you-
me.
yeah.
So the bus stop. So there's bus stops, and then there's what I call bus stop spots, which are a sign on a pole, and you're supposed to stand near the sign. And the one that I'm concerned about is on North Main Street. It's just up from RK Miles, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
right
right-
in front of a gas station. And it's right near the North End Deli, and then the giant high-rise where all those people live who take the bus all the time. And it's across the street from that. And it's a sign on a pole here. And then there's a sidewalk that is
Crosswalk.
not really a sidewalk. It's about this wide and it's about that long. And all winter long, it was like this. And I know you guys used to plow it, because I used to.
They're not supposed to.
Why?
The bus company is supposed to clear their stops. That is not part of our responsibility. That is their responsibility.
All right, so
And,
we have a-
yeah, and that's what we come into is
Okay.
people keep calling us and we say, call the bus company. They are supposed
Okay.
to maintain the bus
All right,
stops.
good.
And the bus company is in the process of transferring its rural service to somebody else, and so things are a little, but that this is a good time to sort of remind them.
Yeah, that said, I mean, even the ones on Main Street, I mean, they get to eventually as soon as they can after a storm, but they're strapped to. All I'm saying is, I mean, that was a problem that Bill Ahern tried to work on, was actually trying to relocate
Right.
the bus stop up towards, I call it Hill Martin, but,
Tenco.
Tenco, Girardi owns that now, doesn't he? That, yeah. But move it up there.
Move it up, yeah.
But there were
It's a
complications
terrible
that.
location.
Right?
It's a terrible location. I mean,
Where it is now, you mean?
where I'm coming from is a public safety, perspective, because I've seen people standing kind of off to the side of that or in the road, and it's like every
Well,
time
the
I
other
see that,
dilemma-
they get out of the bus and they're in the road waiting to cross and nobody's stopping for them. That kind of stuff makes me really anxious. Okay.
I can't remember is there a slab, a concrete slab down there? I'm almost thinking we put one in back.
I think
No,
there
not
is.
there.
There's a
Not
small
there.
slab, that's what I was describing for you.
Yeah, okay.
But then there's a mound of land behind it that just
Yeah,
looks.
all I'm saying is,
probably grass,
at the
but-
time, when we were getting all the similar complaints back in the
Yep.
day, I think we tried to improve the situation a little bit by getting a slab, getting a place for folks to stand, as opposed to standing on the dirt on the edge of the right of way.
Yeah.
So then the other thing that we had, I thought, had a victory back in 2023, Bill had said that he was going to buy some of these things for some of the particularly problematic crosswalks in town, like the one that's in front of the tower that's across the street from the post office. There's a bus stop, with a little building there, and then there's a crosswalk right there. And I remember, what was her name? One of the women who was on the committee with us was talking about the people who live in the building were unable to cross there because of the traffic, and even though they were in the crosswalk, people weren't stopping for them. And so Bill said he was going to buy, I think he was going to buy like 8 or 10 of these, and then we were going to determine which crosswalks they should go in. And so what I wanted, it never happened. And what I was hoping is that maybe you could check into them, see how, I don't know how expensive they are, but, we could get one for that crosswalk, for the one at the bus stop that I was talking about a few minutes ago, where it's not being plowed properly, because there's a crosswalk there too that you can't see. And if you put some of these things in the middle of the crosswalk, like they have them, this was in Montpelier where I took this photograph. I stopped and jumped out of my car and took a picture, because it's right in the middle of the road. And of course you don't do that in the winter, but in the warm time, it's just one more thing in people's faces to make them remember that there's a crosswalk there. And I would love one of these on Hill Street.
There's no street sign that says pointing down is a crosswalk?
I'm sure there is.
You're right.
Oh, yeah, there's those too,
Well,
but they
yeah.
don't flash, like in the city, like when I go to Boston, or I go to New York, or I go to
Well, yeah.
Portland, or wherever I'm going, everybody else has got these flashy ones that
Yeah.
flash at you, that you can't help but, you're not gonna miss those.
Oh, those are only
Ours-
15,000 apiece,
Of
right?
course, they're more money than we can
Right.
spend, we don't have that kind of money, but I'm thinking these things can't be all that expensive, and they bounce. If somebody stupid hits them, they bounce back, so maybe we get 3. or
I'll
maybe
get a
we
price on them for next time and then,
Yeah, just, let's try it and see if it makes a difference. Again, public safety, you missed Janelle. Janelle told the story last meeting about almost getting hit by a car that was coming down Hill Street. She was crossing the street to get to the bus stop for her children, and the person almost hit her. And so also the guy from Patterson
Adam,
Street.
yeah.
He had a real close call.
He showed us photographs of the skid marks that just barely missed him and his
People
dog.
just don't see, they're not Yeah, they're not the.
I'm not for a second discouraging a trial of doing that. But again, I'll say back in the day, had that same problem. We put out the big orange barrels.
Oh, yeah,
And what happens that
Those are fun to hit.
yeah.
well, they're fun to hit. They generally didn't last longer than 3 days. Or whoever delivered to the Texaco station in tractor trailers or whatever, they get out and move the barrel because the barrel was an obstacle for them to move around. So I'm not suggesting for a second that we don't try it again, but, I mean, we got frustrated, we gave up. We
Be
gave up.
aware where we put them on, delivery type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They're
didn't
gonna
think
be
about
in-
the big trucks that come up the street, yeah. All right, I'm gonna pay attention to
And
that.
the only problem is usually the crosswalk is at some type of a intersection
Well,
or.
what complicates,
And then that's where you're gonna have.
and the other complication,
Yeah.
the other
We don't
compli-
wanna make it worse.
Yeah.
That's the last thing we wanna do.
the other complication for the survival of whatever you put there is that's where the bus stops to pick up passengers, then the little stand. And so people get impatient with the bus, or even if the bus is stopped there, they want to go around it. So they're going to cross the center line. So they're going to cross right where that thing is. So I'm not suggesting for a moment, don't try it.
Or maybe you can take your professional eyeball and just look at some of those.
Yeah, I think,
too, and-
I'll get the price of it, then we can.
And think about that,
And
and I'll pay attention.
strategically put them, try them in these locations, but be aware of bus stops, deliveries,
Yeah.
driveways, that type
It's
of.
it's sort of the perfect storm of obstacles that work against putting something in the middle of it. But you're right, I
All
mean, maybe
really
that
good
thing would
points.
survive being hit, I don't know. Okay,
Okay, that's it, that was all I had, I wanted to just talk about it, so thank you for indulging me and letting us do that.
you want to walk through your report?
Do that. We'll start with fire hydrants. Currently, there are 24 of them out of service.
But that's down from 70-something, isn't it?
Well, we're up to 40 something at a time, but I think they've done 3 of them this spring already. Manholes, we currently have 12 that are failed and need replacement, but we're still evaluating the remainder of them.
What does that mean, they've failed?
The tops are falling in and.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Pleasant Street that we paved 2 years ago,
Yeah,
we didn't change the manholes out, and we have 2 failed manholes on Pleasant Street now with the new pavement on them.
so
So,
that must be really dangerous, I mean,
it's just, it's not the whole thing's failed in,
They just
because
fall.
they're mostly block or
oh, okay.
bricks, so we have some of them, and then that's where you'll get, the road sinks in, and you'll get those sinkholes around them.
Huge speed bump, if you will, I mean.
Yeah,
And once they
Yeah,
sink,
they
it's
turn
live
into-
impact.
yes,
Every day.
yep.
Tire hitting it.
For those, and then drain basins, we currently have 40 of them to change out before winter time, because that have failed. And that's another thing that we're working with council, that if we get the extra money, that we're gonna try to really hammer those out, because we don't have the money in the street budget to even come close to those. In our operating budget, we probably have enough to replace 3 of them. So we're,
Brian, do you know how much of the local option sales tax revenue goes to, how much of that are you able to take every year for street maintenance, for some of these maintenance things? I mean, that should be generating
I think that already goes to, in what we have, that through capital and
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's
Where right now we have,
it's restricted to capital, but that
Yep.
capital was an umbrella, I mean. it
no,
was
you know, we,
equipment,
this year we
infrastructure.
had, our paving bid that we put out is estimated at, I think it's 650,000. And
Is that for this coming summer?
yep,
Boy, it's a goddamn good thing you put it out when you did.
yeah. And then, well, we ended up doing an adjustment with it. So that we have an adjustment on. an
Still,
asphalt
you're
adjustment.
better off than if you're outbidding now.
Yep. But I believe council's talking another 200,000 and then possibly more, but,
Pond's leaving that charge.
yeah,
To make up for the $500,000 he took away.
yes.
Then if, boy, we need to, I should have spoken up louder, but I didn't.
Cobble Hill Water Main is still, we have the FEMA, but I found out that one does qualify for revolving loan fund alone, so we have a priority list application submitted, and hopefully we can use the combination of the FEMA money and that subsidy with the loan to get that project going.
Is that up, is that up,
It's way up at the top,
is that by where,
where Sunnyside meets into East Cobble. It's just, get my bearings, probably to the east of that,
I think.
to the north. And it goes behind the house.
We replaced the bridge, the trestle that was up.
Right, we did that down towards the intersection there.
Yes,
They put that
yeah, yeah,
24-inch
yeah,
pipe, and
yeah,
this is,
You
yes.
guys did,
yep.
yeah. Okay.
This is way down on the other end as it
Yeah,
comes
okay.
up from East Barry. It goes behind the houses there. There's like a brook that goes underneath. This is, it spans the brook, and it is a major leak. But we had it designed to, the correct fix is about a $400,000 project. We have $100,000 from FEMA that we can use. But it does qualify, since it was designed with local funds, that we still can use the revolving loan fund, which could possibly have up near a 30% subsidy. So at least then we can pay it back over the next 30 years. So that's what we're trying there. And we're trying the same thing on Ayers Street to get that water main installed. It's, so that one has the priority list, applications in. We should hear back sometime this summer where we rank, and then we'll apply for the loan to go to construction. That one, these are they probably will not go this year, but hopefully we can time them to go next year.
The water
And that's what's
main,
holding up the paving.
Yep.
on Main Street.
Yep.
so that would be.
This water main was requested for the sprinklers on at Spalding, so.
So with luck, that would be 2027?
Berlin Street Water Main Crossing, that project is currently out to bid. We had our pre-bid meeting here today, and the bids open on that on April 9th.
How many contractors you have show up?
We had 4 contractors show up, and I think we have 7 total having plans.
Was it a mandatory?
No, it wasn't. And we move to water treatment plant, the Headworks project, we should have 90% review next week. We scored high on the priority list, and they said funds are available, but the subsidy maxes out at $1 million for that project, for the revolving loan fund. So we have the rural development loan application is complete. We're waiting to get an offer from them. The subsidy is usually higher, up to 75%, but rumor has it they are low on funds, and they probably will not beat that $1 million subsidy. So I talked with the contractor, or the engineer today, and they're thinking of possibly a late May bid on that project. The digesters, we're working to transfer the CDS money from the transmission main down to the wastewater plant so we can repair those digesters. And that's an ongoing, I'm doing the paperwork on that project to get that money down there. And
If you
then
could do that, when would
that will be done as soon as the Headworks project is done. There's no use of repairing those digesters until.
So would that be next year, probably?
Yeah. Yeah, if we bid it in May, they might get the building up this year down there. I don't believe the Headworks will be operational this year. It'll be into the winter or next spring. But the plan is hopefully we can use the same contractor and roll them right into repairing those digesters and get those done. And then our next one is to replace the 2 aerators in the oxidation ditches. That will allow for more of a BOD load. So that's what those are our 3 kind of first dominoes to to go at the wastewater plant. And so our future upgrades that we're looking at right afterwards is we've looked into a sludge dryer and septic receiving station. Those two options would give us revenue streams to fund the wastewater plant instead of just user fees, because we're in a deficit down there, and I don't believe we can get out of that with user fees. It would just be, 200% increase on user fees, and no one's gonna like that. So we're working, and one thing that we're looking at on the sludge dryer, we have heard from the state that they predict in a 5-year time frame, the areas to dispose of the sludge will be extremely limited. So we are contemplating, trying to get, if we get all these other ones done, our sludge process will be a lot cleaner. And if we get a dryer, then that makes it into Class A sludge, which you can sell for composting.
Right now, it's going to Canada, right?
Yep, we ship that to Canada. We spend about $500,000 a year shipping it to Canada. We put a roof over the sludge
I was gonna ask you,
bunker.
how's the roof working?
We haven't done any testing on it because they're actually gonna hold the sludge longer so that they can hopefully
Let it dry more.
let it dry even more.
But now it'll dry with a cover over it.
Yep, got a cover on it. We can keep the rain off from it. And then they'll try to, facilitate the loads coming when it appears to be the driest. But that being said, if we could ever get to that Class A sludge, we can sell it for compost. And then the thought is maybe we can help some of these smaller users like Plainfield, Williamstown, Northfield process their sludge and continue that revenue stream.
So they deliver to our plant.
They would deliver it to ours, and we would process it and then be able to, we'd charge them to dispose of it. But, so that's where we're hoping. And then the septic receiving is another source of revenue but we have to get the plant, optimized before we can do that. So I think with the 3 upgrades we're doing, that will make a big difference. And then, of course, Hood is going out, so that takes a lot of our BOD loading off. And
What does that mean?
BOD is the biological oxidation demand. That's the organic compound that comes into the plant. And our 2 largest contributors are Hood and Vermont Creamery. Vermont Creamery they've got both of them have been issued their pretreatment permits. Vermont Creamery is in their testing phase, and their first round of testing told us that they are producing about 1/3 of the BODs that go into our plant just from that one user. So
Is that on a continuous load, or is that as a result of batches?
I don't know how that works, but that's, I'm not really sure what their testing procedure is, but, they'll test it and then multiply it out by what they send to do it. So, that being said, if with Hood stopping, anything that goes back in there will have to hit their treatment goals before they can become active in there. And then if Vermont Creamery gets their pretreatment in place, I think we will be in a lot better place on our plant. It won't be overloaded at that point. Right now, we're about at our limits of the BOD. Not on, hydraulically, we have more capacity, but the BOD loading is high, and it all comes from those 2 users. So if you think about it, if they're producing both of them, 2/3 of the BOD coming from just the 2 users, that's a substantial.
Right now, it doesn't look promising that anybody will buy the Hood plant. I mean, I know from Barre Development is Josh Jerome is very intimately involved in trying to help broker a purchase from one cheese production company from New York has expressed interest in buying the building, but they're not quite sure that Hood wants to sell it, and they don't know yet. Now, this is old information, it's about a month old. Hood hasn't given them a price to buy the facility, and so I don't know if that's falling off the tracks or not. What's even worse is just the workforce impact that has. I mean, there's about 50 jobs up there that, I mean, I think they've already started
We're actually hiring one of them down at the wastewater plant he gets a severance package if he stays with Hood till May 1st.
Yep.
So we're hiring him May
2nd.
2nd. And he'll start down the wastewater plant.
That's good. That's good. Well, good for us.
Yes.
Well, actually, good for him. If they can all go somewhere and get jobs, fine.
Yep.
They
But,
probably will, but
Well, we were definitely flexible with him, but it was probably I think he was $15,000 to $20,000, severance package for him if he stayed. If he left early, he didn't get it.
yeah.
But he did tell us that he would take the job and leave there early if we wanted him to, but we were saying,
Oh, God.
it'd be nice just,
Yeah.
do it. And so he starts in there. That gives us 6 full-time people at the wastewater plant. The other 3 projects are still ongoing. We're working with a consultant to get those done. Paving, bids are out. They're due next Thursday. Hopefully we'll,
Oh, so you don't have bids in yet?
no, they're out.
Misunderstood.
They'll be due next Thursday. The Dagmont culvert, they did not have any extra money in this grant cycle, so we have to close out the current grant that we have and then apply for a new one with the estimated, we have a design with a estimated fee, so we can get a real price for that one. DPW garage, we're working, the designs team is getting through the final design and permitting. Banwell, DeWolf, and DEW are partners on that. We're waiting for an Act 250 hearing. Most of the local permits are complete, and O'Reilly's is almost out. They're doing final cleaning underway, and they will be fully out by the end of the month.
I understand I don't know if it was the zoning permit or design review or whatever, but there was somebody in a butter who was contemplating filing an appeal.
Yep.
Did they file it, or?
Not yet. They still have
They still have
another
time?
week and a half or something, but we haven't heard anything about that.
What was the issue? Do you remember? Do you know?
She doesn't want us there.
Yeah, okay, but what was the basis for her
Doesn't
appeal?
want us there.
Worried about she didn't want us there, but she's also worried about the salt and that getting into the water systems was one of the things that,
But
which
she
I didn't
runs
think was
a
realistic.
neurodivergent nature center up there, and she was concerned that the trucks were gonna make too much noise. I don't think we're gonna make a whole lot more noise than the warehouse does, but.
Right.
And then she did mention that she owns that corner lot that if she wanted to sell that, the Public Works garage devalues her property, which I can't really see that one, but I don't know, she'll have to, if she's appealing it, she has to get a lawyer and go that route, so I don't know if it's worth that much to her, but we'll see. At least she has, I think about a week and a half.
You gotta know.
Yeah.
You gotta know whether she's appealing or not.
Our engineer said, but most of the appeals usually don't come in till like day 29.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So,
So that's what I'm saying, week and a half, 2 weeks, you'll know.
yep, we'll know then. But we actually did request a Act 250 hearing. We assume that it would qualify for a minor amendment and they could just approve it. But we really think this lady would request a hearing anyways. So in order to try to save time, we just requested a hearing right off the bat so they can get it scheduled, and then we can just get it done instead of going through the minor amendment process. And then,
Indian file, yeah.
yeah, but we're still waiting to get the results back from the state, whether they, to schedule a hearing or if they will just issue a minor amendment and go that route. And not a lot of change on the FEMA projects. They're still waiting on funding on the North Main, and those last 3, I'm working with the consultant to get the project ready. We have to we have to do those 3 projects this year, but those will be just kind of standard details and The contract will,
You talking about the FEMA projects?
yep, those
okay.
three, Delmont, Farwell, and the Gunner Brook. We're doing those, we'll have just kind of a standard detail on a bank stabilization, and then they'll make it to the width that we need for those projects, because the Farwell Street by Hope Cemetery, that's a fairly large, long area. It's on the corner right behind Bootsy's garage. And they'll just key that in and bill it, but we're just working with the consultant to get the details and
So
everything.
the Gunner Brook reclamation, is that not the redesign of the?
No, this is going from Bootsy's up to the city line in the brook, cleaning out the debris and
Oh,
fixing.
Brook Street
any-
to see, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, we're
It's above
starting
that.
it.
It's above.
Yes,
the-
it's above that. We've got, preliminary approval from the state, river engineers to do this project where we basically gonna, and they know that we're gonna have to basically travel up the brook, but we'll remove all the debris that's in the brook, and then I think there's 3 or 4 slide locations that will stabilize while we're up there. But, that'll be
Yeah,
just
it's
like
just-
details and then get a
It's
contractor to
amazing,
do
the
it.
the debris that comes down, the debris and the silt, dirt that comes down.
What amazed me is, the debris catcher there on Brook Street, we had, probably a 40-foot tree with a root ball up there, and they all come down through that little Brook Street bridge. Nothing gets caught on the bridge.
Yeah.
But I mean, how does a 40-foot tree go through that little bridge? I don't know, but it's just gotta be the way that,
The right way.
yeah, it's gotta be the way that brook comes into it.
Yeah.
That somehow it straightens
Root ball
everything
first.
out.
It's gotta go root ball first. If it went the other way, it wouldn't make it.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it was just amazing, the size of the trees that made it down through that bridge, that we had no problem. We never had any buildup at the bridge, but it's just gotta be the way,
Did that large tree get all the way down to the catchers or into the
Yep.
settling basin?
no, it got to the catchers there.
Okay, it went all the
Yep.
way.
But I think that project has got funded, I believe, to redesign that area.
Well,
I think it did, I think.
redesign has
I
been
think it
commissioned.
did. I get a little confused about where things are sometimes because it goes by pretty fast in council, but there
Yeah.
was a redesign
I
of
think that-
debris catchers that
Yep.
did get funding.
I think what their
think it's
concept
that.
is they're probably going to remove like the center 2 bollards and then
That's,
put them
yeah.
on opposite sides so that it makes like a serpentine and leaves an open channel for the water to continue. Because the problem we've seen in those last 2 floods is that catcher ends up making a dam.
Yeah.
And it blows everything out onto Maple Ave.
It turned out to be extremely effective.
Beaver on steroids.
Yeah, and so even Donnell and I were thinking of, like at Harrington, where you come out to them, we were contemplating building, like a landing, that we could get an excavator right out to the edge where we could pick out the debris to at least keep an alley for the water to go. But I think if this works, that'll, keep that center of the brook
Well,
flowing.
if I recall correctly, and I mean, I'm not convinced I don't disagree that something needs to be done because the trash rack has turned out to be extremely effective, which is even surprising
Yeah.
because they're big bollards and they're reasonably far apart. It's amazing the small stuff that catches, that it starts catching small stuff and then it starts catching more stuff and then it catches the big stuff, of
Yeah.
course. But I think even the new plan, they've got a couple of landing pads built in, designed in to remove stuff. And I'm saying, geez, why go to all that expense? Just build the pads now. But whatever, the direction's been set.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, thanks, Brian. It's always good. Always a good report. And I think that gets us to the end of the agenda, doesn't it? Unless there's anything else? Any roundtable, Art?
No, I already discussed stuff with Brian. I know I'm not supposed to do that.
Okay, so the standing date for the next meeting is April 23rd. And I'll get the, before we stop, on, let's keep that on the agenda and then. Okay, thanks, Brian.
Okay.
All right.